is he loves to have power. He loves to be able to tell people what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. It started to feel like dictatorship in this house.
The Hype House was at one time one of the biggest things on TikTok and social media as a whole. But now, certain key members are gone, and it makes many wonder what else is gonna happen.
Do you want to win any of these items on your screen? If so, be sure to watch the whole video, leave a like, and comment the hidden message. And with that being said, let's get right into the video.
Number 6. Hype House. So you don't know what Hype House is? Don't worry, we'll give you a quick recap to help you out here. With the rise of TikTok came a whole bunch of ideas on how to get rich and famous on the platform. And for one group of about 20 teenagers and young adults, they decided to come together in Los Angeles, loosely, we'll explain later, to make a place called Hype House. The intent was simple. The house would be where they would come together and do their TikTok videos and Instagram posts, and even YouTube videos without much effort. Seriously, the house is not just a mansion, but one that is set up to perfectly help them with lighting, space, and more. What really made Hype House special, though, was the amount of talent in it. This wasn't just some random group of kids trying to make a buck. This was some of the biggest names in TikTok, Instagram, and more. And it worked. They had 10 million subscribers on their official channels in no time flat. The fame of Hype House grew with every single month's worth of videos and more. You'd think that this would be a party that never stopped. But in 2020, that hasn't been the case, as many of the Hype House's biggest stars have left in one form or another. Number 5. The departure of Charli and Dixie D'Amelio. This particular set of departures was a big blow to the Hype House in all the ways that matter. Charli and Dixie D'Amelio joined the Hype House upon its inception in November 2019. And were arguably two of the most famous members of the collective with their combined 78 million TikTok followers. Charli alone is known as the Queen of TikTok thanks to her dance videos and personality. But the girls decided recently it's time to move on. And the reason Charli and Dixie D'Amelio left the Hype House is totally understandable. In April, rumors claiming the D'Amelio sisters left the house started to surface, especially after the Daisy Keech situation. More on that in a bit. Fans weren't completely shocked when the confirmation came. However, it definitely marked a new era for the Hype House. After their exit, a rep for the sisters released a statement to the Hollywood Reporter explaining their decision. When the Hype House started to become more of a business, Charli and Dixie stepped away from that aspect, the rep said. While their businesses are separate, their friendships with the members continue. Does this mean that we won't be seeing the D'Amelio sisters on social media anymore? Perish the thought entirely. The girls have big plans for the future and are just getting started. They're still churning out TikTok videos non-stop, and according to Charli, they've even talked about taking a page out of the Kardashians' book and creating a reality show. One that has been in the works for a while now, apparently, and one that Charli is very much looking forward to if it does happen. I mean, definitely something like that would be super fun, she told Entertainment Tonight of the prospect. I feel like no one really gets to see, but people are always talking about how they think our family dynamic is pretty cool. There were rumors that Charli was leaving Hype House because of her ex-boyfriend who was also in Hype House, but that was later put to rest by Charli herself. It's always good to hear that certain relationships end amicably and not brutally, which we hear about all the time nowadays, it seems. And as noted earlier, Charli and Dixie are aiming to keep their friendship within the Hype House. However, that can't be said for everyone who was involved with it. Number 4. The Daisy Keech situation. Let's head now to something that might be called the first show across the bow for Hype House, the fallout with member Daisy Keech. Daisy Keech has been with the Hype House since the beginning, and yet in 2020, she not only left the Hype House, she filed a legal lawsuit against 2 of her fellow founders. I'm trying to fight for my rights, she said. The business has been completely stripped away from me, and I've kept my mouth shut the entire time. In case you're unaware of the whole situation, Keech is suing 2 of her Hype House co-founders, Thomas Petrou and Chase Hudson, alleging that they struck deals without her, exiled her from the group, and tried to position themselves as the only founders of Hype House, which, if true, which signs point to being true, would not just only be a betrayal, but a lie in terms of events that led to the arrival of Hype House. How so? Well, when being interviewed about the lawsuit and the events leading up to it, Keech had some very curious things to say about the true origins of Hype House. According to her, to get Hype House going, Keech and Hudson put up $18,000 each, while fellow members Petro, Anon, and Warren each gave $5,000. With the cash, they put a deposit on the Encino mansion that they all live in. There was no other startup capital contributed, Keech insists, because such a collective is pretty cheap to run. Videos on the app aren't supposed to look professionally edited, so stars shoot themselves on their smartphones. It didn't cost much more to found Hype House than a safety deposit and the cost of filling the refrigerator. But as time went on in the Hype House, Petro and Hudson started to become a lot more controlling of not just Keech, but all the other members of the group, to the extent that they became the managers of the house, and even locked people out of their accounts so that they had to ask them for the passwords and such. Then Keech noted that when the money did start coming in, Petro and Hudson started buying a lot of things that should have been out of their range, which clearly meant that they were stealing from others, including her, which is another in a long line of breach of trusts. This is not the kind of drama you would expect from Hype House, especially given that it was meant to be built to be something special, not something scandalous. And yet, the D'Amelios and Keech aren't the only ones apparently leaving. Number 3. The next departure? As if everything going on with those 3 ladies weren't enough, Bryce Hall said in a recent Instagram video that Hype House member Addison Rae might be the next one taking the leave, as he noted she hadn't been around or associating with the group as of late. The Hype House? Charli and Dixie left, and Addison doesn't really associate with the Hype House, so they're kind of just, I don't know what they're doing exactly. Now, to be clear, Addison Rae right now isn't in the Hype House because she's social distancing with her family. It should also be noted that the D'Amelios never lived in the Hype House, as they reside in Connecticut and only visited them from time to time. So this could be just that. However, Rae hasn't been promoting Hype House in any way or been on their main accounts in some time. So as such, she could be the next domino to fall, as it were, if she hasn't fell already due to personal or professional reasons. Number 2. The beginning of the end of Hype House? At one point in time, the Hype House was unified, which helped their stars grow and learn and get even more attention, followers, and of course, money. But with the departure of Keech and the D'Amelio sisters and the possible leaving of Addison Rae, they're basically losing 4 key members in just the first 5 months of 2020. Plus, they didn't just lose a couple of members, they lost a founder and arguably their biggest star via Charli. That's not something you can just replace. The Hype House remaining members include Hudson, Connor Yates, Alex Warren, Avani Gregg, Wyatt Xavier, Ryland Storms, Nick Austin, Andrea Lopez, Tony Lopez, Corv Anon, Thomas Petro, Calvin Goldby, James Wright, Jack Wright, and Patrick Huston. Is that a lot? Absolutely, and each of them have their own dedicated followers and loyal fans. But if they keep losing members, that's a big problem, and one not easily solvable. Number 1. What do the departures say about the Hype House? If it was just one person leaving Hype House, it likely wouldn't have been a big deal, especially if it was an amicable split. But with Keech and the D'Amelio sisters and now possibly Addison Rae leaving the Hype House, there's definitely something going on. Sure, we know Keech's reason, and Charli and Dixie claim it was a business move in regards to why they departed. But is it really that simple? Keech exposed Hype House as not the fun house that fans were seeing via their videos and posts. And with the D'Amelios not even being in the house, and yet possibly being taken for granted via their association with them, especially if Keech's claim was right that some of the founders were stealing money, then who would want to be a part of that? No one, that's who. So perhaps the reason that everyone is seemingly trying to get away from Hype House is that they don't feel comfortable being a part of it anymore, for one reason or another. It wouldn't be the first time something like this happened, and it likely won't be the last. But it does show that the Hype House now isn't what it started out to be, and further proof that a few bad apples can ruin the bunch. So what do you think? What do you think of this look at Hype House and why some of its members are leaving? Do you think Hype House will recover? Who do you support on these matters? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you next time on the channel.
A simple reminder on how to enter our brand new giveaway. We will be giving away either an iPhone X Max, the new iPad mini, or a MacBook Pro. It's really your choice. So be sure to leave a like, comment the keyword, subscribe, and turn on notifications to enter the giveaway. It's really that simple. Go for it.